American football is one of the most physically demanding sports, as evidenced by the fact that Jets quarterback Mike White had to visit the hospital after taking some frightening hits while playing the Buffalo Bills. What do you think his recovery time will be, and who will take his place? And also, in this video, we'll be talking about some of the most gruesome injuries in the NFL, starting off with how fans react as a Bills defender nearly breaks QB Mike White in two. On Sunday, Jets quarterback Mike White was struck viciously by a Buffalo Bills linebacker, prompting NFL fans to respond on social media. White was shown getting a vicious rib shot from linebacker Matt Milano during New York's 20-12 defeat. The impact we've seen throughout the NFL season could very well have been the toughest. White was finally forced to exit the game after continuing to be down for some time. 2 plays later, he would miraculously return, but it was too late to help his side recover the victory. He had to be rushed to the hospital following the game. Mike White has just been sawed in half. A fan was like, "Damn, I hope he's okay." If you pay careful attention, you can see Mike White's spirit departing his body. According to another fan, the courage of White's performance undoubtedly increased the trust of his comrades. During a post-game press conference, running back Michael Carter referred to him as a soldier. Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver, also said that White has a lot of heart and will put everything on the line for his boys. He went on to say that he would do the same for him. The Jets' record dropped to 7-6 due to the defeat. Despite the loss, Mike White is still popular in the locker room, despite New York's quarterback room having a hit-and-miss season. Following a dangerous hit against the Bills, Jets quarterback Mike White is being taken to the hospital. During Sunday's game, Mike White undoubtedly showed his toughness, but his body paid the price. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills overcame damp, cold, and windy weather to defeat Mike White and the AFC East rival New York Jets 20-12. After suffering a major rib injury on Sunday, Jets quarterback Mike White will be sent to the hospital for precautionary procedures, according to coach Robert Saleh, following his team's defeat to the Bills. In the third quarter, White, who had replaced Zach Wilson as New York's starter, momentarily left the game. He came back in the fourth to spearhead a Jets rally. However, the Jets were defeated 20-12. The tests are being done for possible internal problems after New York reported that White had 2 rib ailments. The first hit came in the second quarter when he dropped back to pass and was smacked in the chest by Bills defensive lineman Ed Oliver. After that, linebacker Matt Milano struck him hard in the chest once more in the third quarter. The imposing Bills defense struck White multiple times throughout the game. Still, none of them compared to the devastating tackle delivered by linebacker Matt Milano, who slammed into White's ribs with his shoulder at full speed. White remained on the ground, clutching his ribs, but eventually returned to the game. White lost to the Bills 20-12 on Sunday after completing 27 of 44 passes for 268 yards. Before the Bills game, White had 2 starts and a combined 53 of 85 completions for 684 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and 2 interceptions. Saleh praised him for his tenacity and play. Saleh stated, "I think he has shown tenacity, toughness, and everything we have witnessed. He's an excellent player. If he were healthy enough to play in Week 15 against the Lions, White would start for the Jets," according to Saleh, who lauded White's resolve and tenacity. The 7-6 Jets' hopes of making the playoffs are in jeopardy since they've dropped 4 of their last 6 games. Since 2010, the team has yet to achieve playoff qualification. For the time being, Flacco is White's primary backup. Through Sunday's game, he is 1-2 in 3 starts, completing 92 of 158 throws at 58.7% for 902 yards and 5 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Wilson is the Jets' third choice, after only White and Flacco. Next, let's discuss some players who experienced the most gruesome injuries in NFL history. First on the list is Alex Smith during the 2018 season. Smith suffered a complex fracture that shattered his right tibia and right fibula as his right leg twisted beneath him while 2 Houston Texans defenders were sacking him. Following the incident, Smith also contracted a flesh-eating bacterial illness that nearly necessitated his physicians amputating his lower leg to save his life. Smith made a miraculous comeback to the NFL 20 months after the illness was treated, through 17 separate operations to restore the leg, and then decided to retire in 2021. Next up is Tim Krumrie during the 1989 season. The fact that Tim Krumrie of the Cincinnati Bengals shattered his leg in front of a national television audience during Super Bowl 23 versus the San Francisco 49ers makes it all the more unforgettable. Tim Krumrie, a Bengals defensive tackle, attempted to tackle Roger Craig on the 14th play of the game. Krumrie's lower left leg twisted beneath his weight as his cleat landed on the ground, breaking 4 different bones and leaving just his skin holding his foot to his torso. Krumrie accomplished the extraordinary accomplishment of of returning for training camp the following summer, and for the next 6 years of his career, he did not miss a single game. Next on the list is Destry Wright. During the 2020 season, Wright's NFL career was cut short by a career-ending injury sustained by the running back during a preseason game between the Steelers and Cowboys. Wright's right leg was broken, but his ankle was so badly dislocated that he was seen reclining on his stomach with his right foot pointing up to the sky. He underwent many operations and was unable to play another snap. In his last season at Jackson State, Wright established the team's 3-season career rushing record of 4,020 yards, rushing for 1,614 yards and scoring 12 touchdowns. Wright was also the all-time best rusher in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Quite the bright future, only to be ended by injury. Next on the list of the most gruesome injuries is Bo Jackson of the Oakland Raiders during the 1991 season. Jackson was a two-sport sensation, but his football career ended in a playoff game against the Bengals in January 1991. When Jackson was struck in the hip, the force of the blow broke and dislocated his hip bone. Jackson tried to pop his hip back into position, but he injured blood vessels in the process, which led to the loss of all the cartilage in the hip and compelled him to give up football. He received a hip replacement and played baseball for 2 more seasons before retiring. After setting career highs with 32 home runs and 105 runs batted in 1989, Jackson was selected for the American League All-Star squad, even though his hip injury stopped him from reaching his full physical potential on the professional level. Jackson was a cultural phenomenon that had a tremendous effect on American sports history. Next, we have Jeff Fuller's injury from the 1989 season. This is the second time an injury from the 1989 season is gracing this list. In his 6 seasons with the Niners, Fuller was a hard-hitting safety who helped his team win 3 Super Bowls. His career was regrettably over when he smacked an opponent with his helmet during a tackle against the Patriots in 1989. Fuller ragdolled backward on his knees, his head banging against the grass. He could not walk after the injuries due to a fractured neck and partial paralysis. He was eventually able to walk again, but he never recovered the use of either arm. Following, we have Napoleon McCallum during the 1994 season. Monday Night Football dominated television during the 80s and 90s. Napoleon McCallum, a Raiders running back, suffered a career-ending injury, and millions of people throughout the nation saw it. His leg hyperextended when he was attacked and pushed downward by Ken Norton Jr. Few people recognized how severe the damage truly was, even though it appeared to be awful. McCallum's calf and hamstring muscles were severed from the bone. He tore 3 ligaments in his knee and sustained significant nerve damage. He punctured an artery in his left knee, necessitating emergency surgery and nearly losing his limb. He had 6 operations in all and could never play football again. Finally, the top 2 most gruesome injuries in NFL history. We have Darryl Stingley's injury during the 1978 season. This is the most tragic injury on our list. It's a stark reminder of football officials' importance to player safety, particularly when it comes to hits on helpless receivers. Many of today's rule revisions result from Darryl Stingley's injury to the New England Patriots. Jack the Assassin Tatum, a Raiders legend, was one of the most powerful tackles in NFL history. He went for the huge hit on Stingley in a preseason game against the Patriots, who were attempting to snag an off-target toss. Stingley's shoulder took the brunt of the punch, not his head or neck, yet it was nonetheless a fatal blow. Stingley's life was brutally transformed only days after he was about to become one of the highest-paid players in the league. 2 of his vertebrae were broken, and he had spinal cord compression. He remained immobile on the field, and his arms and legs were never restored. Stingley passed away in 2007 from a condition brought on by the quadriplegia's consequences. Tatum never apologized to Stingley for what happened and never spoke with him after the hit. Last on the list is Joe Theismann during the 1985 season. No introduction is necessary for this one. Joe Theismann, a quarterback for the Washington Redskins, was struck by famed New York Giants defender Lawrence Taylor during Monday Night Football in 1985. He subsequently sustained one of the most horrifying injuries ever seen on live television in any sport. Despite Washington's best efforts, the Giants were not duped by the flea flicker. Taylor dragged down Theismann as numerous defenders closed in on him, landing on the quarterback's lower right leg. Theismann remembered that his leg snapped like a breadstick, but that he had no sensation below the knee. Theismann had a complex fracture with a piece of his leg bone poking through his flesh, and everyone could see what was wrong in horrifying detail. Before ABC decided to air many replays, it became clear to everyone watching at home that only the players first realized it. The injury became a notorious part of NFL mythology, and Theismann never returned to the game. So that's it, guys. Jets QB Mike White is now receiving treatments. However, how long does he need to recover before returning to the team? And do you know of any NFL injury that should have made the list? Let's hear those comments in the section below. And remember to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.